All right, thank you very much. Hello, everybody. It's your good friend Possible here, and I'm back in action with another soul-stirring movie review based off the movie Snowpiercer, starring Christopher Evans and a slew of other people, John Hurt amongst them. It's about a global warming where the world has frozen over because just as everything was getting so hot, science finally found the solution, only instead of cooling our planet, it froze our planet. But luckily for us, this one eccentric millionaire who loved trains was able to build his lifelong dream of a train that could go around the world non-stop all the time, and just kept going and going because he over-engineered it, not like people tend to do. Not only did he over-engineer the train, but he also apparently over-engineered the tracks and everything, since they're allowed to go around and around the world and have been going around the world 17 times, keeping everyone alive somehow, some way. So some very strange means, to say the least. Snowpiercer, basically you have that standard dystopia mishmash, Imagine if movie making was a recipe. This is the same old recipe you do for every dystopia future movie. You've got the haves and the have-nots. That people in the front car are the haves. People in the back car are the have-nots. I thought for a while that they would be slaves. That the point of the people in the back car was for them to have to do the bidding or some sort of manual labor or some useful purpose. That's why they're alive back there. It wasn't the case. It was actually not revealed to the very end why they keep the back alive. That said, they've had enough. They've been mistreated. They're tired of people coming at them with the guns and everything. So they've been planning a revolution for the longest time. Now, this is not something they're looking forward to too much because they have been through revolutions before. Okay? This is not going to be the first revolution ever attempted. It's going to be yet another revolution where they're going to rise up against the higher-ups and demand freedom or demand that they stop the train or demand something. They never really told us exactly what they demanded. I guess better treatment and stuff like that. So on goes the revolt. And this is where, at first I was a little bored. I was like, okay guys, you're doing the setup thing. I get it. Okay, so give us the lousy speech. Give us the torture of this poor soul. Have the cops be really mean and just be too cliche-ish. And you'd be surprised that these people didn't revolt sooner. And then the revolt happened, and then there was this glimmer of hope. And the glimmer of hope faded real fast. It never sparked. The movie just went way downhill, way too fast. I was very pleased with the actors. They did an exceptional job of performing. No complaints there whatsoever. My problem was the writer, ultimately, because he didn't give me anything special. He didn't give me anything new. He didn't give me anything to wow at. He just gave me the paint by numbers. Okay, now comes the raid part where there's going to be a huge battle. Now comes their trick. Now comes their payback. Now comes them just walking through room after room. Now comes this person getting captured. That kind of stuff, okay? And finally, the one thing that kept me going through this movie was the question of who was the guy at the top of the train. The big guy, the number one guy. I think he called him Wilfred. Who was Wilfred? And I had my suspicions about what or who Wilfred could have been. In the end, it was a huge letdown. They had a little bit more of a spark near the end, but again, it just kept falling apart. And believe me, as much as this thing kept falling apart, nothing crashed and burned this more than the ending itself. The last 5 seconds were like, oh God, get me out of this theater as soon as possible. Huge disappointment all around. Bad with the directing, bad with the writing, awesome with the acting though. Chris Evans really knows how to carry this. John Hurt was phenomenal as always, and his supporting cast, even though I don't know these people, they were great as well. And it just seemed very, very disappointing that they could not offer these people more, that they couldn't get better. And, I understand that when you watch a movie, you're supposed to suspend disbelief, but there's a limit to how much disbelief you can really suspend sometimes when you're dealing with these situations. And it's like, okay, are you serious? You know, everyone's like in this class, and all of a sudden people are pulling out the guns, and are we forgetting that there's a revolt coming out? There's a revolt going on during this egg handout. No one's suspicious or anything, and I don't know. Too much of the familiar, not enough of the creativity. In the end, it just falls apart. And, you know, there's only so much suspension of disbelief a person can really take sometimes. And this pushed me too far over the edge. And that's why Snowpiercer gets a pass. It really should be avoided. I don't recommend it for anybody. All right, guys, that's it for me for today. We'll see you at the theaters.